Hi, I'm Willa and I'm talking here today with Alexander Oaks. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. As Willa said, my name's Alexander. I'm 19. I'm from New York City originally, but I've lived in Gloucester for the past 5 years or so, and I've grown up coming here during the summer, so I'm familiar with the area. Currently, I am a freshman at Trinity College, home for the rest of the semester. Um, so I guess technically maybe almost a sophomore, but planning on studying either probably political science or public policy and law. I went to Gloucester High School. I was involved there, and yeah,
So you're home for the rest of the semester, you said.
yes.
What has that transition been like, having to come home from college?
It's been, it's had its fair share of ups and downs. Transitioning from like an environment where on like a micro day by day basis, I have like full control over what I do every day to back to parental supervision, kind of like high school, has been, not the easiest transition, but it is nice, to be home, with my family, especially during, such turbulent kind of times. It's nice to have my family with me. But the transition has been, we're feeling it out. So I've been home for about 2 weeks now. So it's starting to kind of feel like the new normal. Um, but yeah, I'd say the biggest change has been kind of the transition from an environment where I have full control or, relatively full control over what I do every day to an environment where it's a lot of, parental supervision, parental directives, stuff like that.
And so you said that you guys have been home for about 2 weeks. So is your family practicing social distancing? And if so, what does that look like for you guys?
Yes. I came home, I guess 2 weeks ago on Friday, back when, people knew it was serious and we knew that there were school cancellations and stuff like that. But social distancing really wasn't, I feel like social distancing, the emphasis on social distancing really came about like a week and a half ago. But my parents were ready to go when I got home with social distancing, which was probably didn't help the transition. Coming home and being told, you're not allowed to go out with your friends, and you can see your friends, but you've got to stay 6 feet away from them. You can go for walks with them, but you can't, you know, go to parties or go to big hangouts or go out to dinner with people. So my family's been practicing social distancing for maybe I'd say about like 14 days exactly now. So that means we go for walk. We try to go for a walk or two every day to get outside. But other than that, we're not really going around a lot. My dad goes to the supermarket, but no one else really is going into stores or anything like that. Um, my brother's gone on walks with a few of his friends in the past over the past 2 weeks, but nothing like going to anyone's houses or anything like that. Drives around town. I haven't seen my friends just because I'm playing it safe, and telling my friends I'll see them in 3 weeks, and we have the whole summer. But yeah, we've been social distancing pretty strictly for a while now.
So now that you're home from school, how is that affecting your education? Are your classes going online, or is it just kind of suspended?
Yeah, so about a week ago or so, so for the first week that we were home, it was my spring break, so I would have been home either way. So we didn't have any classes then. But then once classes were supposed to resume, but remotely, been doing a lot of Zoom sessions. So I'm taking 5 classes now, and two of them use Zoom to like replicate classroom environments, in the sense that all of the students will join one call and will listen to the professor and have discussions. I've had one class that uses Zoom as kind of like an independent, one-on-one individualized meetings with professors. So we've used Zoom that way. And then my other 2 classes, it's been more just independent work on its own. And the unique thing about the school that I go to, Trinity, is that it's a very small liberal arts college where the big part of the appeal is that, you get small classroom, individualized face-to-face learning. And now that, we're doing it remotely, it's an entirely different environment. So most of my biggest class for this entire year probably was only about 25 students. And now, it's more of like a big university style kind of remote independent. You do your work on your own and you figure it out as you go. So it's been a change. But trying to stay as on top of it as I can. The first week that we were home, not all of my professors were super forthcoming, and weren't. A lot of my professors waited to kind of tell us tell me and my fellow classmates how we would be going forward for the rest of the semester. So for about a week or a week and a half while I was home, I was kind of in the dark on some of my classes. How is this going to keep going? What is this going to look like? But I've mostly kind of figured out how I'll be doing my work for the rest of the semester.
In general, when you talk to your friends from college or your friends here in Gloucester, how do you think people are responding to the coronavirus pandemic? How are our peers thinking about what's going on?
Right. In the beginning, so about 2 weeks ago, most of my friends were not social distancing. Most of the people my age, I think, were not. I knew some of my friends were, but most were still going to parties. I knew there was like a big kind of college reunion party when everyone came home that I didn't go to because of Corona, but that a lot of my friends and a lot of people my age went to. And a lot of people, kept going on about life as usual for about a week. And then once, the national dialogue around social distancing started to pick up and we started to see business closures, that's when most people my age started to take it more seriously. So now I think all of my friends are practicing pretty strong social distancing, staying away from crowds, staying away from others, staying in the home as much as possible, or, not maybe if not in the home, then, kind of staying isolated while you're out and about. But I do know that despite that, and despite, a lot of my friends taking it very seriously, there is, a considerable chunk of the population our age that, is kind of brushing it aside. I know people who are, still going on vacation, or as of fairly recently, having house parties, having friends over, going out and doing things in big crowds. And for someone who has been practicing social distancing, it's frustrating to see that. I don't know if it's people our age overestimating their ability to fight off Corona, if they would actually get it. I don't know if it's people not thinking about, the vulnerable people and communities in Gloucester. I don't know. I don't have a strong explanation for why I think a lot of people our age are still continuing to brush it off. But I think as the days go by and as we see the pandemic start to become more and more serious, I think more and more people will start to kind of recognize that and take it upon themselves to social distance.
In the wake of a crisis like this, or even through its continuation, how do you think our peers are going to respond to the situation in their political ideology? Like, how is it going to shape the way our generation thinks about politics, about what it means to be a member of society?
Yeah, sure. Well, what I've seen kind of through my social media platforms and on the news is I've seen a lot of people start calling for policies and policy implementations that, 3 months ago would be considered, socialist policies or far left policies. I've seen a lot of, ideas about universal basic income and rent suspensions and other similar policy proposals that, as of only a few months ago, only a month or two ago, would be thought of as radical, far left. But I think in the event of an emergency, everyone, recognizes the need for like community support and legislation that supports our most vulnerable, whether that's physically or economically. And so I think that because of this pandemic, what I hope I see is that people our age carry the lessons from this pandemic throughout their adult life and realize that whenever this subsides, whenever we get this under control, the need for community and the need for a strong sense of kind of togetherness is not going to go away. and that we should carry that throughout times that are normal. And I think that a lot of the ideas that that have been discussed on the policy stage recently, whether it's universal basic income or what have you, I think those are ideas that have value and have merit, whether or not we're in the middle of a pandemic or a national emergency or what have you. I think because of coronavirus, we'll see a lot of ideas that were considered radical, such as, I keep going back to universal basic income, were seen as kind of fringe ideas. I think we'll start to see those ideas become more and more mainstream as the virus proceeds and as we continue kind of operating in this new world.
Well, thank you so much for your insights.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Good luck with your social distancing.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah, thank you for speaking with me.
Yeah, of course. Have a good one.
You too.